Hello, everyone. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome one and all on behalf of Team Avtar and myavtar.com to the Day 5 of Diversity Utsav 2021. I'm Divya Kumar and I'll be your host for today's evening. As we start, here are a few hygiene checks for a seamless virtual experience. Please close all other applications on your computer and log on to the organization VPN to conserve internet bandwidth. Extremely delighted and thrilled to welcome you all on the fifth day of Diversity Mahotsav. Diversity Mahotsav, a month-long celebration of diversity and inclusion on myavtar.com, India's first diversity hiring portal. Today is another day packed with powerful session, one that will offer insights into different aspects of diversity. For those who have joined us today, we are delighted to have you on board, raise some of riveting sharings and learnings all through the month. We would like to thank our partners, Ideology Partner HCL Technologies, supporting partner Foresia, Logitech Engineering and Designs India Private Limited, Saint Gobain India Private Limited, Sodexo and Zorian Solutions, and a community partner, NASCOM. Our social media handles Diversity Mahotsav, hashtag Diversity Mahotsav, hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your social media handles with the hashtags. Career breaks are no more a lean phase. Gone are the days where career breaks were taken only by women professionals due to the three M's: maternity, motherhood, and lack of mobility. In today's world, men too have left careers for various reasons, including elder care. So, what does it mean to all of us? Let's hear it from other expert. Dr. Saundarya Rajesh, founder president of Avatar Group, is an award winning pioneer in the field of ER. Dr. Saundarya's work in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workspace is unparalleled in India. An inspiring speaker, an author, and very sought DEI strategist, Dr. Saundarya Rajesh has won several awards and awards such as 100 Women Achiever, Web Women Wonder Women, Winds of Change 2019 Award, Transforming India Award, Global Elevator Award, in Asia's Most Innovative Diversity and Inclusive Leaders Award. Let's hear it from her.
A diverse workforce has a whole lot of challenges. One size absolutely doesn't fit all. It's very, very difficult to have one standard format or channel of communication when you have a diverse workforce. You have multiple voices and every voice needs to be heard. That means divergent views. While all of those opinions matter and all of those opinions are needed to arrive at a truly well thought through decision, it is also very hard to arrive at a consensus. Finally, slow decision making. If we want to democratize the workforce, if we want to ensure that all of those voices are equally heard, then decision making is totally slowed down.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saundarya Rajesh, for the insightful note. We live in a digital era. The digital era is characterized by technology, which increases speed and the breadth of knowledge turnover within the economy and the society. The evolutionary theory states that the system we live in and its sustainability relies on knowledge turnover. As a second career professional, can this space be explored as a career shift option? Let's hear it from Mr. S. Banukumar, Head Information Technology at Avatar Group. A technologist with close to 3 decades of hands-on experience in technology relating to cloud infrastructure, automatic identification and data capture, analytics, development ops, agility. An industry veteran close, currently focusing on giving back to the society. Robust experience around identifying and implementing the right technical solution for any requirement with appropriate due diligence, risk assessment, solution design, and implementation. Built multiple technology centers of excellence, facilitating career progression for individuals and effective solution for the organization. A passionate trainer, mentor, and coach with more than 5,000 hours of training and still ticking. Banu handles anything and everything around technology at Avtar. Mr. Banu, it's over to you.
Thank you, Divya. Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. Great to welcome you on this Diversity Mahotsav, the month-long event. So today, the focus of the topic is in terms of analytics, second career choice. Yesterday, we were seeing, those of you who have attended it, we were seeing Nisha talking about second career women, what can be done, how they can, and all that. But today, we are going one step further down there, talking about analytics as a choice, a second career choice, be it a second career woman or someone trying to take that as an alternate career, is what we are going to look for in today's session. The way I've tried to structure this session is primarily to tell you why is this analytics becoming such a big thing and what is in it for me as an individual. Will I be able to succeed? Like the bigger challenge that people are having today when we talk about analytics is that's booming, yes, but will I be able to survive? What kind of requirement is it is it there in terms of the skilling? What is it to be done and all that? So end of the day session, I'm trying to build a playbook wherein you will probably have something in your hand which will tell you, if I want to proceed in analytics as a career, we will have to do this. So that's the thought process with which the session is structured. So let's probably start with, is analytics really a booming industry? Is it a myth or a reality, and what is happening here? Now, I've given a wheel of internet minute. It's not a wheel of fortune, it's a wheel of internet minute. Consciously, I've given 2019 and 2021 because 2020, thanks to pandemic, we had a lot of challenges, but at the same time, internet started booming, a lot more started happening online. So we will see what it is. Like, for example, this particular wheel that I'm talking about between 2019 and 2021, if we really look at it, in a minute, remember, this is 60 seconds. In a minute, we are talking about 347,000 Instagram scrolls in 2019, which doubled. We are talking about 695,000 scrolls. 4.5 million videos viewed. We are talking about here a 500-hour content uploaded in a minute. For a minute, we are uploading 500 hours of content. There is so much of training that's happening online. There is so much of information that's happening shared online. Tweets, look at the lead tweets. 87,500 has become 200,000. If we are talking about 694,000 hours of Netflix, but the subscriber base has increased in Netflix, becoming 28,000 subscribers watching in a minute. Now, I am reading out one after the other in a sequence, but in reality, all of this is happening in a minute. Now, what does this mean? In 1 minute, if you look at this, almost 100% of what you see in this wheel of one internet minute could happen from your mobile phone, or you could even use your desktop or a laptop. So from that one device, we will have roughly huge volumes of data, which talks about videos, which talks about text messages, which talks about our our fields in terms of whatever we are sharing in the Facebook or Twitter, whatever we want to tweet. So many things are coming in. So if we really get into the realities there, if you really look at it, there is so much of information that goes. Now, the volume of information that comes in from the internet is phenomenally huge, which has actually made people start looking at that as an area of input in terms of trying to understand what my customer wants. Today, all of us are used to buying in Amazon. Two of you sit next to each other, look for the same product, but both of you will have a different product which says you may, which is related to you may also like, you may want to buy. So if you really look at it, this is entirely dependent on your profile. This is entirely dependent on what you have been browsing, what you have been buying. So if you really look at it, all of it is coming out because all this data is being analyzed. Now, that's happening basically because if you really look at it, 2010, we were talking about around 1.8 devices per person. I'm talking about connected devices connected to the internet. And 2025, it's becoming 10 times, 9.27 connected devices. Now, by connected devices, it could be laptop, your mobile phone, multiple mobile phones. Some of us have CUG mobile phone versus a personal mobile phone. And then it is also now moving towards IoTs and all that becoming in, wherein it's really becoming those inanimate things or those that cannot talk on the internet, like your chairs and tables to your ACs are now connected to the internet. Now, a quick statistics, if you really look at it, the total number of active social media users is 4.5 billion, of which, this is as of July 21, of which the percentage of the global, this is actually 56% of the global population, which means we are talking about more than 50% of the population in social media. That's a huge volume of information. That's number one. The second side of it, if you really look at it, is that number of global social media users every year increases by roughly around 13%. We are talking about 520 million. So imagine from 2010 to 2025, look at the kind of volume that increases. But the beauty lies here. 99% of these 56% social media users access social media from their mobile phones. That's the biggest. So that's why it's always the mobile first comes in everywhere, number one. And last but not the least, if you really look at it, the average amount of time spent in social media, we are talking about roughly 2.5 hours in a day. Now, that's the most conservative way of looking at it. Now, what does all this mean? Where are we moving towards? The earlier slide talked about so much of data going in different formats, chat, videos, audios, text files. So it's not specific to, let us say, locations, or it's not specific to videos. It's a combination of a lot of things. And that's why we call it an unstructured data. And that's here to stay. We don't have a choice because right now, at this moment, if our mobile phone is switched on and connected to the internet, be it through data or wireless, different types of data, the voice to your data, to your Flipkart data, to your Amazon, to whatnot gets into it. Point one. Point two, all of this is being used by sellers. Whether you like it or not, all of this is being used by sellers. And that's what I mean by saying embedded analytics and behavior analytics. All that what we are trying to look for there is, what is it that the consumer wants? Am I able to give it? Or what should I do to give it? A very simple example, if you really look at premium models getting released, we have a product leak coming in 6 to 9 months, irrespective of which number, the item of release or whatever, we get it. That's consciously done because they get a beta testing done by the end users so that they keep changing it. So that's the world we are moving into. The data agility is really huge, that the sooner we are able to absorb the data, predict and prescribe what we want to, we survive as a winner, failing which we are lost. Gone are the days when we used to take 15 years data, 10 years data to decide. Today, we are talking about last 15 hours data to last 10 hours data. So the data analysis is going to be the key to success. All that is fine. But what is in it for me as an individual? Am I getting too deep down somewhere, or will I be able to cross the bridge and survive? That's exactly what we are going to see here. Now, Gartner, as we all know, is one of those who tells you what is going to come, and more like that magic wand and all that, the magic mirror. So according to them, they are talking about a lot of responsible analytical aspects that are coming in. Now, while I don't want to get into the specifics of what each one is, I just want to summarize the outcome of it. What does it mean to me? The scope for data collection and maintenance enhances, which means a lot of it, like for example, the accelerating change section that you have here, all of them, the accelerating section, all of them is actually related to data. And you are also talking about graph relates everything. We are talking about that being shared with everyone. So there is a lot of information around effective visualizations. We are talking about conducive environments being created to structure a large volume of data and we are making data-oriented decisions based on behaviors in social media, buying patterns of individuals, and a lot of other things like what I was saying in the earlier slide. Now, all of this is enabling us to achieve our goals with more informed options for us to take it up. Which means this is an industry that's going to feed a lot of people. Am I technical, non-technical is secondary. That's the first takeaway that I want you to have from this slide. The second takeaway, this is more closer to what I am saying. Look at the underlined one. The US tech industry is looking for more analytical and fewer engineering talent. And look at the peak here. This is an aggregated skill requirement of IT, business, finance. Let's leave it. It's not changing. See, the analysis is increasing and they are looking at more of analytical minds rather than engineers. So all that it means is it's growing. Engineering is reducing. Analysis is increasing. So there is a lot of scope for all of us to survive in this industry. And it's here to stay because we are talking about 30% of the organizations getting into a complete analytical community by 2023, 60% trying to talk about analytical solutions in 2023. Now, nowhere are we talking about 100%, and 2023 is 2 years down the line. So to achieve 100%, we are going to take another 7 to 10 years. And that's good enough for all of us to enter into this and start swimming into this analytical world. And that's the essence in terms of what is in it for me. So now that I know what I can do, there is an opportunity. So at this moment, if I'm going to ask you, let's say, for example, people can respond in your chat box. If I'm going to ask you, those of you who are here, second career women, or those trying to shift careers and all that, can you probably indicate how many of you thought maybe I should get into analytics but did not do it? Those of you who thought may probably put a 1 in the chat box, and others can put a 0 in the chat box. A quick 1 minute before I get into the slide. Okay, I see someone coming in here and there. See, the idea is now, the only reason why you might have thought you don't want it, like some of you have said a 0 here, the only reason why you might have thought you don't want to is, oh, it's too technical. Will I be able to survive? I am not technical. I don't want to do it. Let me tell you one statement here. If you know how to handle your smartphone, you are a lot more technical than the technology heads in this world. Be rest assured. And I'm not joking. This is not a casual statement. This is a thought through statement, and we will see that, how we will get into it. So this section, I'm going to tell you whether I will be able to succeed there and why do you think that is going to happen? And then we will get into the playbook. So here, all that I'm trying to give you is the perspective of what this data analytics field is all about. When I talk about data science as a process, there are 5 distinct pieces that comes in. The first row, the collection, cleaning, exploratory data analysis called as EDA, model building, model deployment. Don't worry, I'm not here to handle data science class. But the point that I'm trying to give here is look at the roles that come in. Now, if I call myself a data engineer, I am focusing more on data collection and data cleaning. When I'm saying a data analyst, I'm focusing more on cleaning and EDA. When I say an ML engineer, it's more on model building and deployment. And when I say data scientist, I'm a jack of all this. If I really try to segregate this as technical and non-technical, the last 2, that is model building and model deployment, is 95% technical. The other 3, that's your collection, cleaning, and EDA, is probably 70 to 80% non-technical. That's the world data science is all about. And believe me, I, as a mentor for a lot of these data science courses and all that, I have at least 60% of a cohort who are actually transitioning into data science rather than people who are already technical. So that's how it is. This is going to take enough and more people who have the knowledge of technical aspects for them to do the modeling. And it is also going to take an equal number of non-technical people to manage what we call as the data readiness and the data accuracy for the model to be right. Now, what does it all mean? Let's take a very simple example. You want to go to a new place. So what do you try to do? You go to the Google map, put out a route, this thing requirement, and it gives you a route. It tells you this is the fastest route. You switch it on, click moving. It will suddenly say, I have found a shorter route. Do you want to go? Do you go this route? It does all this. Now, behind the screen, what happens is all of these. when I say data collection, it collects data about traffic. It collects data about the routes. It collects data, like for example, during your thunderstorms, your floods, it collects data around that. So there is raw data, which is true. There is data that could probably have to be validated. So you need to cleanse it and then understand whether the data is good enough for you to make a decision. That is what is EDA. So once that EDA, exploratory data, is done, you build an analysis and then deploy by saying, this is how it goes. So this is the very non-technical way of putting in as to what a data science or a data analysis is for. So when I look at it, the scope is available for both technical and non-technical. This will give you a little more clarity. The three distinct roles, data analysts, scientists, and engineers. If you really look at it, a data analyst is a guy who's the curator of the data and he visualizes and reports the data. So primarily, he's going to work on Excel. I am sure 90% of the audience are experts in Excel. So all that you need is Excel. You need to have a communication skill. You need to have an analytical brain. Those who are data scientists are those who are going to look at the source of the data, play around with the data. So they will need a little more on technical aspects. A data engineer is purely technical. So a lot around data analysts can come in. So what kind of roles come in? This is one chunk of a role that somebody can look at to become a chief data officer or a technology officer. If you really look at it, I've talked about 6 distinct towers. Now the towers on the right end, that is these, they are primarily highly technical. The towers in the beginning, they can be non-technical. I can be a BI analyst. Now a BI analyst is one who understands business, understands data, and he marries these two, talks to the business the way they want it, talks to the data engineers the way they want the data to be. So he acts as a bridge and connects. A similar role as a business analyst. The only difference is that's the BA that I put in here. Only difference is he also has the knowledge of the domain, whereas a data analyst may not have the knowledge of the domain. We just saw who a data scientist is. Now imagine you're talking about even a fresher taking this role. Now I've consciously structured this slide, which will give way for any kind of an individual who wants to enter into this field to enter into the way they want it, wherever you want to structure. See, it ranges from 2 to 16 years to become a VP analytics. So I can build in wherever. Let us say I had taken a break. Now I want to come in. So all that I need to look for is, let's say, for example, I want to get into a senior BI analyst. So very simple, go to your LinkedIn, pick some choices in terms of the job descriptions you have, take 10 or 15 job descriptions. When you list down all the skills that you have, there will be 5 or 6 which will be common across all these 15. Those are the core skills for this role. Rate yourself, upgrade yourself, you're ready. So yes, you need a planning. We are going to talk about it in the next section, which is going to be the playbook. But yes, you need the planning. You need to work it out. It's not going to come overnight. But if you're clear on your goals, you will easily be able to achieve it. All that you need to know is what is the type of role you want to get into, what is the skill that you need, and how do you build your skill. The moment you're clear on all those, the rest is pretty straightforward for you to achieve, right? Now, it simply said is how a lot of people will feel. Yeah, this guy has been there. He's a technologist, 30 years in the industry. So it's easy for him, but he should look at it from my side. And that's exactly what this slide is all about. I am looking at it as a person who may or may not know technology. How will I do? All that I need is, I need to be a communicator, presenter, a people's person. The reason why we need this is because we are talking about data. Not everybody is going to understand data, but everybody needs the decision based on data. And we as individuals in the data science practice will understand the decisions of data in a much better fashion because we talk data, which will enable us to get into it in terms of the perspective. That's number one. The second thing that I am talking about here is more from the perspective of mind and soul into learning and performing. Now that's really important because anyone can get a first success, but only a true success is achieved when you sustain it. Now, all that what we are talking about on sustenance here is the data keeps changing. I told you, gone are the days of 15 years data, 20 years data. We are talking about last 10 hours, 15 hours. Don't you remember Flipkart sale of mobile phones started off at 500 rupees at 8 a.m., but became 15,000 rupees at probably around 1 p.m. They did not increase it because there was demand. They actually played on their supply chain, because those kinds of big sales happen with some stock in hand, and there is a commitment saying I will deliver it within 24 hours, 48 hours. So if the numbers get increased, they will not be able to manage the SLA. So they increase the price so that only those who really want that model will buy it. So they still manage. That's the supply chain management that came up because of data analysis. So there is a lot of things that you could probably get into it. It's a vast subject, as I have said. All that is basically focusing on the basic knowledge. It is very niche, but you can pick and choose what you want. Like, for example, visualization. I like charts. I am creative. I will try to put in different kinds of charts. Yes, perfect. We can probably start looking at those kinds of charts, create those charts, allow people to interact, make it interactive and more intuitive, so that you will be able to bring in. The fourth angle that I'm talking about is upskilling, because this keeps changing. This keeps changing. Now, every day there is a change. How do I analyze? It's like there is no 2 days wherein you go the same route when you are having heavy traffics or diversions. You keep changing, right? That's exactly where it is. This is, people have been talking about data for donkey's years, but at the other side of it, other spectrum, people making decisions based on data is still nascent. Statistics says only 30% of the data that is available can be used for decisions, and the reality is only 0.68% is being used for data. Look at the volume that is still available. So all of us can happily swim in this industry, as long as we are able to be flexible and we know where we want to position. And that's exactly where my previous slide will help you position yourself where you want and where you want to move towards. That will take you through. A quick pause. Is there anyone who wants to change their mind? They were not wanting to go to analytics, now looking at analytics, or were looking at analytics, now running away. Those of you who are trying to move away from analytics, can you put a chat, one in the chat box? Wanting to be in analytics, type a 0. A quick pause. Now, those wanting to move into analytics are those thinking they are here to grow if they get into analytics. This section is the most critical one. We are creating a playbook in terms of what is it that I need to do to get into analytics as a domain for my survival. The first and foremost is, yes, you will have to make the big decision. There are 4 distinct things that you will probably look at. You'll have to set your goals, choose your skills, identify your options, and identify the service capability. What do I mean by that? Set your goals. You need to start answering questions like, where do you want to go today? Why are you taking analytics as a career? Are you fully into it to succeed? Because the moment you have a doubt, nobody can take you through. You will have to be fully clear in terms of what you are doing, failing which you will not be able to succeed. So be very clear. A lot of times we get into a scenario, yeah, I know I'll have to go this route, but you will still be skeptical when you're driving. Am I in the right track? I know it forked. I'm not too sure. It said, Google Maps said, take the second left. Did I take the second left? Was it the first or was it the third? I had too many exits there. That's not going to take you anywhere. So you need to know where you want to go. You need to know why you're picking that as a career and be fully into it. Then choose your skills. Now, this is primarily important for those who are trying to change careers or those who are taking a break and then coming in, because you have a skill of your own. You know what you have your own experience. Ideally, if you're coming in as a second career, the best way is for you to pick something closer to that. Pick a similar domain, for example. Somebody was in healthcare, probably take a healthcare and look at analytics instead of something that you are doing, whatever that you were. So you need to start looking out for opportunities around what you like, what you aspire for, and at the same time, remember the boundaries. So once you know what you could do, you can, and that's where the thought that I gave you in terms of LinkedIn profile, pick the skills and all that will tell you. Once you know that, then prepare. Never ever do anything with a blank slate. You are going in for an interview, you're going in for a training. Even for a training, there is a preparation that is required. Never enter a training hall with a blank slate. All that you need to know is training. You need to know what is the topic all about. You need to know why is it important for you that you are attending. When you're going in for an interview, you need to know the organization. If possible, if you know who's going to interview you, know their skills, know their capabilities, know their line of expertise, understand what the organization is all about. Match your skills with that. And that is when your service capability will come out in the interview, wherein your skills can convert to a solution. A good example of analytics that I've said, I am an analytics guy. And if somebody asks me, what can you do for your organization? Bare minimum, I can help you reach to the right audience for your ad, because I know how to analyze and pick the right kind of customers for you. It's as simple as that, provided you know what is it all about. But the key is you should focus on the revenue profits. Ultimately, it is money. So focus on revenue profit cost optimization when you're talking about your capability. So the end takeaway of this slide, the first of the playbook that you're looking at is make a decision, decide to live by it, breathe it by picking the relevant skills. Then you are now transitioning to analytics. So you're now going to transition to analytics. The basics, the fundamentals here. You will have to be familiar with numbers. It is a number game. You don't have a choice. You cannot escape. I'll talk about it next. You will need statistics and maths. Pardon me for those of you who run away from it. Believe me, you need the basic knowledge and the rest you can survive. Now, the data science has got multiple options. We saw that in the arc chart that I put in a blank arc chart. So now all that what you need to do now is pick the one that is close to your heart. It doesn't stop there. Most important, you need to have a problem solving skills. Now, why are we looking at analytics from a business perspective? If you really look at it, I have a problem. I want to solve that problem. So I'm trying to understand what is the problem. Now, forget business, in personal activities. Why are you looking for a Google route map? You either want to see how the traffic is, though you know the route, or you do not know the route, so you're picking it. So you have a problem that needs to be solved. And that's where analytics comes in. So you must necessarily possess that curiosity and the problem solving skill. That is, you need to be curious in terms of what you want to, how you want to. Once you know that, it doesn't stop there. You need to know how to communicate and present it. That's very critical, because the decisions you make are more informed decisions, perfect decisions based on the data. So if the decision is wrong, the data is not appropriate, change the data. Your decision is never wrong because it is based on the data. That has to be communicated effectively to the stakeholders so that they will be able to look at it the same way that you want them to look at, so you'll be able to achieve it. Does that mean you need to know coding and programming? Maybe yes, for certain areas, like what I told you as an ML engineer and others, but there are a lot of other opportunities where you don't need coding. In fact, a basic Excel sheet is good enough. Is there anyone who is not familiar with Excel? If somebody is not familiar with Excel, type 1 in the chat box. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a blank. So as long as you know Excel, you can do wonders with analytics. That's the basic. Wonders in terms of visualization, wonders in terms of slicing, dicing data, wonders in terms of trying to zero in on what exactly is the problem and how can I resolve. That's where it comes into. Right? Now, once that is done, let's look at the key skills for readiness. I did tell you, pick up the JDs, pick the 5 common skills across. That's more specific. Like when I want to be a BI analyst, when I want to be a BA, when I want to be a senior data officer, those kinds of things. But irrespective of all that, if you want to be in data analytics space, these 6 skills are very important, and you're already there, ready to get into the analytics field. It's not that all 6 are mandatory, but if you have them, you're ready to enter the field. The first and foremost, what we technically call as data wrangling. I am consciously losing a milder technical term there. All that what we are trying to talk here is you need to prepare the data to suit the need for analysis. What do I mean by that? Your telephone emits so much of data. It's talking about a route map. It's talking about your location. That's what I mean by route map. It talks about text data. It talks about voice data. It talks about application data, so on and so forth. If Google wants to know where you are located, it has to pick only the route data. It will drop the rest of the data. I need to be able to do that manually or automatically, either ways. Having done that, I need to start communicating it the right way. So that's where the business storytelling, the typical ones that is becoming a big ticket item these days, are definitely a useful skill, because most non-technical people are going to be BI analysts and the BAs. So which means you're going to be the bridge between the technical and the business team, which means You need to write the right story. You need to write the right story, say the right story to the right set of people. You can't talk technical to business, nor can you talk business to technical. They have their own differences of opinion. So it's up to us to bridge it so that the entire project is a success. So your storytelling, your communication skills becomes very important. I will come to statistics last. Now, why am I saying communication is important is because based on the data that has been created, I'm going to build the insights. That is, what do I mean by insights? We are talking about decisions. What should I do? Which is the route that should I take? How do I go about doing it? So those decisions, they are analyzed, which means you need to creatively present it for people to understand. Visuals. See, gone are the days, like those of us who are 20 years, 30 years, who have been doing in the past, we still stick to a bar chart, maybe a pie chart. You have a Sundance chart, you have a donut chart. There are so many other different ways in which you could probably bring in terms of what you want to talk about. The so-called heat map that we popularly talk of can be created in multi-different ways. The same bar chart need not be vertical, it can even be horizontal. Now, so you build in a creativity. Build in a creativity in terms of where you want to go, and a little bit of business domain help, because you're going to talk to the business. Now, what do I mean by business domain? If I'm on healthcare, what is important for healthcare? The type of data that I will need for healthcare will be people health related data. But what is also important there is that's not a data that can be shared left, right, and center. So you need to understand the data security. Whereas when I'm on a retail, I'm not worried about the data security, though technically I am worried about data security. Don't take me wrong. All that I mean is I, as a retailer, I can share it across multiple retailers, which is what is happening in real world, that our data keeps moving around. But with healthcare, I cannot do it. Even if it is from hospital A to hospital B, it's not automatic. There is a process that has to be done. There are a lot of other certifications. So you need to understand the business domain. Last, I'm coming into the statistics. You need to know what probability is, trend or tendencies of distribution of data, variations, linear algebra, calculus, the basic principles. All of it is definitely required. But how deep are you to know? Maybe tip of the iceberg is too high. Go a little deeper, may not be at a 10,000 feet level, maybe at a 5,000 feet. So when I talk about statistics, I need to probably know measures of dispersion, which is all we know, mean, median, mode, and all that we have learned. Then I need to know standard deviation, variance. I need to know the ranges. Then I need to know probability. I need to know hypothesis. So that way, pick and choose a few things. Now, believe me, Excel does all this for you. You don't really have to remember the formula, but you need to understand the concept behind it for you to get it, right? So those are the skills that you need to have so that you are already entering the doors of analytics. If you have, let's say, 2 out of the 6 that I have written, you are already entering the door. Those lesser, you are in front of the door, you are just trying to knock the door to open the door by building your skills on it. That's exactly what it is. It's not rocket science. You can still get into it. Now, a couple of other mundane things that you could probably look at when you want to have a sustenance in terms of survival, you want to get into it. Like when I'm trying to get into a different skill, there are a lot of times wherein I could get demotivated, where I could probably lose track of what I'm doing. All of it can happen. So how do I succeed? I know I need the skills, and I know, let us say, for example, I know the skills are available to me and all that, but how do I go about it? Very simple. I know there was a bit of a discussion of a message around it in yesterday's session also. There is a lot on the internet, but a few things that could probably help you. The first and foremost is your network. Tap into your network. You know a lot of people. A lot of people trust you. You trust them. They are your advocates. They will support you. So get into that network. Reconnect with them wherever you want. Ensure that you are able to align yourself in terms of the industry requirements. Socialize about your venture. Now, here I'm not talking about a venture as an entrepreneur, though second career can probably decide to become a consultant. That's a different discussion for a different day. But the venture as in which field you are getting into, what type of a role are you picking in? How do you want to achieve that? Why do you say you are good enough? Start socializing. The moment you start socializing, you never know, one of your friends might have an opening in their own organization and he can vote for. And all of us know a referenced candidate is definitely having a good precedence. So you could good preference. So you could probably get into it. So your network is very important. Two, I told you these persons who trust you are your advocates. You need to build your advocates. You need to connect to the network of the advocates, LinkedIn's. You have so many professional group discussions that could happen. There are professional groups that are available that you could connect into. Get into these, build your advocates, position your capabilities, see how you can help each other. See how you can help each other. That's more important. It's always a give and take. It's always a give and take. It helps to help others. I know you would have heard Divya reading. I am now focusing on give back to society. Believe me, that has helped me learn a lot of things. So it's always good to do that. So build your advocates. And more importantly, when you are trying to connect to an organization for a position, it's a cold connect versus a warm connect. So you're starting fresh with one person, you don't know anyone, it's a cold outreach. You need to spend some extra time to make them look at you. The so-called elevator pitches, the consistent connects, how are you able to talk to them? How do you go about a quick 2-second intro about yourself should make them come back to you, and all that is what you'll have to look at. But if it is a warm connect, you just introduce yourself, connect through the connect. You know what? My friend is your colleague and it starts. So it is always better to go that one of those routes so that it helps you. So the essence is build the skills that are here, ensure you have these skills given here because this is what is the core of analytics. Build these skills or ensure you have these skills, sustain it here, and you are more or less ready to move in. And that's why I've come into the last word, which basically is more philosophical. All that I'm trying to say is I have given you the playbook. Start your planning. Start your planning. You have a hazy idea now. Now this hazy idea will have to transform into a vibrant image for yourself. So all that what you need to do is start your planning, go deep in terms of what you want to do. That is basically pick a role of your choice. Understand the skills that you need for your choice. Understand your capabilities of the skills. Plan your skill gaps. Decide on a date and backward so that your skill gaps are filled and you start looking out. When you're starting to look out, use your advocates. That is, build your connects, enhance your connects, cold connects, warm connects, and all that this thing, plan it out. And that is how you will be able to succeed. This is just a tip of the iceberg in terms of what you want to do, but this gives you a perspective in terms of how you could plan your career into analytics. So I will bring this session to a closure here. I will open it out for questions if there are any. Over to you, Divya, if there are any questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Banu. That was a lovely session and also had opened doors to understand that career breaks can also be taken forward with the new career shift. So I'm just looking into the questions. Yes, we have started to get some interesting questions. One question, Banu, to you. Being an expert in this field, what would you suggest? What are the most fundamental soft and hard skills needed to be a data analytical professional, Banu?
This is the basics, Divya. Reiterating, I need to understand the problem solving skills. I need to be a good communicator. I need to know how to play around with the numbers. Programming knowledge, if I'm technical, will definitely be an added value, but that is not mandatory because there are other positions that are there which need not necessarily be programming oriented. So my core skills, if you ask me, will be here: communication, presentation, problem solving, and number game. I need to understand numbers well. So I can start with analytics. Once I go in, I can go deeper. Now, currently, I need to know whether I can open the door and enter, or is it a black box? It's not, as long as I have it. Hope that answers.
Well said, Banu. I think once we have the intent of opening, we always have more gates to unlearn the process. So there's one more question. data is always the changing pace, and a lot of new trends keep coming up in the market. How do we track the space and keep upgrading our knowledge in this fast tracking process?
Okay, so that's not an easy thing. Let me be very open. It is going to be difficult. Like my own case is an example. 30 years, so many things have changed in technology, and I'm still staying afloat is because of that. Now, the best way to do that is keeping your eyes and ears open. Look for a lot of these professional networks like LinkedIn, follow some of the critical hashtags, look for industry case studies like I have given here. Look for industry case studies so that you will be able to start looking at aspects in terms of how people are looking at analytics as a space. What are the new things coming in? Like, for example, a lot of us, when we say analytics, we talk about Python programming. But how many of us know there is a new language that's already coming in, which is going to beat Python very soon, Julian. So there are so many other things that are coming in. So the key factor for us to do that is eyes and ears open, keep researching on it. Research makes a big ticket item. And the best way to research, not like a researcher, but more like a user, is studying industry case studies. For example, for specific to our data analytics, you have blog sites like Analytics Vidya, or for example, medium.com. There are so many other sites that are available, which gives you a lot of industry case studies. Kaggle is one place that gives you a lot of training free of cost, plus also gives you a lot of real life case studies with scrubbed data. All those could probably help in terms of taking things to the next level.
Thank you so much, Banu. And there's one more question I have is, considering this behavioral science is the trend for data analytics and all that, is having a scientific background as an education is mandatory?
Not really. While that is going to definitely help, I showed you the statistics here. It is more the analytical mind and less of engineering knowledge that they are tapping into. Scientific, non-scientific is secondary. While that, see, it depends on what type of a role you're picking in. Now, let us say, for example, you're getting into this kind of a model building, model deployment. Then you need to be more scientific in terms of which model will work, what will not work. There is a method and the process that you'll have to follow. Get into it. When you're going to be in the left side of this spectrum, wherein you're going to be more and this thing in terms of data-oriented operations, all that you need is an analytical mind and that thought into detail. Now, a quick example. For example, all of us know now FASTag is made mandatory in India. And for a normal person, oh my God, for a driver, it is going to look like, oh my God, FASTag. So I will have to buy the sticker, hold it, paste it. Otherwise, I'll have to pay double. So let me do it. But for me as a data scientist, you know what I thought of? Between two toll booths, I know the speed at which a person comes in because I swipe in toll 1 and then go to toll 2. If there is a speed limit of 60 kilometers an hour and the distance here is 1.5 hours, I need to take 90 minutes. If somebody takes 70 minutes, I know he is overspeeding, give him an overspeed ticket. If there is an accident, the first thing I can do is check between the two tolls whether the vehicle has gone out or not, because I know which are all the vehicles which came in from one toll zone to another. So that's a data mind that I want. So if you are on the initial stage, if you're on the left spectrum, more on collection, cleaning and all that, you could probably talk more in terms of that analytical brain, problem solving, looking at insights, you're good enough. Only when you go deeper in terms of modeling, or there is another area that talks about what we call as deep learning, natural language processing. Deep learning is more on image processing, like you're talking about robots doing operations and all that. So those kinds of deep learning and things, yes, you need a lot more engineering background, scientific background and all that. But rest of it, we still can manage without those. Okay.
Thank you so much, Banu. I think now we have broken the myth saying that it's just not purely scientific background, but a little bit of analytical thinking can crack it. We have a question from Veena. You spoke about the preparedness of interviewers for opportunities in analytic field. What are the basics to do as a candidate should focus while he or she goes for an interview, especially after the career shift and taking a path in the field of analytics?
Okay. See, couple of things. I'm again coming into this slide. So basically all that is, one, I need to know who is interviewing me. Not always will I know, but sometimes I will know it because today we are into this online world and all that. So sometimes I will know the initial interview. So get to know the interviewer. But more importantly, I need to know about the company, and I need to know what is the value that I can provide to the company. So how do I look at it? So where will I sell? What will I? Now let's say I took a break and I'm coming back for whatever reasons. I've taken a break and then now I'm coming back. So the basic thing that's going to be lingering around in most people, most interviewers' mind is, you have taken a break. Will you be understanding the current trends? How are you coping up in terms of it? You have not been working for some time. So I need to prepare myself in terms of saying upfront, preempt that, and then talk about, see, these are the certifications. This is the knowledge I have on analytics. Yes, I have shifted careers and I'm getting into this because during the break, I learned it. I know this is a growing field. So I've learned this. I've done this during the time in terms of projects. So I could get in. That's on one side. The other side, from an interviewing capability, key is whatever is written in the JD, I need to be prepared. Now, what do I mean by written in JD that I need to be prepared is, the JD talks about some of the skills, some of the responsibilities that this person is capable, is expected to take up. So I, as a interviewee or the candidate, I need to know whether I can do it, and where necessary, if I'm experienced, pick some examples of those things that are already being showcased by me in my earlier roles. That could probably help. These are some of the basic things that could help. And with respect to analytics, there is a lot more on the internet which talks about the typical interview specific questions for various roles, wherein there are a lot of these technical aspects that people are looking for. So you could look at that. And last but not the least, most important is industry case studies, because the domain that you are walking into, somebody would have already implemented it. They are looking at somebody in an entry level of analytics because they are moving into analytics, but there is someone who's already a stalwart in the same domain. Look at industry case studies, come back and tell them, use that when you're talking, saying, see, this company, competitor of yours have done this. So I could probably help you out in building it in this way so that you can go. So these are some of the things that could probably help.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Banu. Then one question I have is, once you make this career shift, people would have had a solid, already a well set profession and say even close to 20 to 25 years. So making this shift and having a conviction belief that they could restart this all over. So what kind of a mindset the individual should actually have in mind to take this as a career shift and be confident enough to say that, yes, I can make one more success from my end? What will be
Okay.
your...
I'll take it in two parts, Divya. Good question. I'll take it in two parts. One is, I have spent 20, 25 years and I have not succeeded because I did something correct, but I did based on some, let's say this data, for example, has been lying there for donkey's years, as I normally say. But only now we are having tools and techniques which will help me do it. Now, let's say, for example, if somebody is a 20-year-old experienced guy, he is a guy who could manage a program or a project in terms of the overall deliverable. He wouldn't have made decisions in terms of operationalize or in terms of optimizations without looking at what is the spend, how you can look at optimization of all these and all that. So he has used the data. So if he is able to bring out that skill of him and build it, him or her, and build it into the new role that they are looking at, you are already there in terms of saying, I'm not doing anything new. I'm doing the same thing in a different perspective. So that eases out in terms of what you're trying to do. Then comes your sustenance, which is where this mindset of more you learn, the more you earn comes in. Because this is a growing field. This is still nascent. Though this has been here for 5-7 years, this is still nascent. There are a lot of things. As I said, out of 30% of the unstructured data that's available, only 0.69% is being used for decisions. So there is so much more that is already available. So the more you learn, more you think differently to solve a problem, two things happen. One is you are enthused to continue to do something new. Two, you start gaining the interest that you go deeper and deeper. You lose track of, you shifted your career line into different. That's how we do it. And believe me, in my experience, in my mentoring, I've had a couple of them who are 28 years, 27 years, who shifted their careers. And now they are into 32, 33 years of their overall career, and they are doing well for the last 2-3 years in data science. So that's definitely achievable.
That's wonderful to hear, Banu, and very inspiring. And it'll be a great, great gateway and big opener for people who are actually battling with the old profession, who want to seek something really. Thank you so much for all the insights.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, back to you, Divya.
Yes, Banu. So thank you so much for your time, and hope all the participants would certainly be benefited with this new path, which they can track and take forward. Thank you so much, Banu.
Thank you.
So, all of you would have really enjoyed today's session, and hoping to hear your comments and all your feedbacks. Please write to us. Tomorrow, in our segment, we have Journey Beyond Comfort Zone. We have Parmesh Shahan, author of Curiosity, public speaker, culture curator, LGBTQI inclusion advocate, former head Godrej India Culture Lab DNI, a TED Senior Fellow, YAL World Fellow, World Economic Forum, in a very interesting conversation with Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, founder president of Abdar Group, on the title Western and Jugaad Resistance. Once again, on behalf of Team Abdar and myabdar.com, I thank each one of you and welcome you to the rest of 25 Days of Diversity Mahotsav. We would like to thank our partners, ideology partner HCL Technologies Limited, supporting partners Foresia, Logitech Engineering and Designs India Private Limited, Sendgomate India Private Limited, Sodexo and Zoriel Solutions, and a community partner NASCOM. Our social media hashtags are hashtag diversity Mahotsav, hashtag celebrating diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your social media handles with the hashtags. If you have not registered yourself at myabdar.com, please log on today and at myabdar.com and register yourself. Explore various opportunities and activities at our portal that celebrate diversity. Browse through to find out jobs that might suit your skills, read articles of interest, upskill yourself through various webinar sections that will be conducted exclusively for you. Do join us sharp at 5 p.m. for yet another insightful session tomorrow. You can also view hashtag Diversity Mahotsav series as on our YouTube channel, Avdar, the Power of Diversity. The link is posted in the chat box. In case you have missed our previous days, please do click on the YouTube link to watch our previous episodes. Tomorrow's celebration will be available at the YouTube channel. This is Divya Kumar signing off. Meet you all soon. Stay safe.